Good evening. This is Rudy Giuliani, and this is the Rudy Giuliani Show on LindellTV. Yep, Mike Lindell, hero of the First Amendment. God bless him. And the best pillows you ever had. That's right. You got a problem with that? Okay. So tonight we're going to start off with a subject that's been creeping up on us. Oh, maybe this has been creeping up on us for 6 years if one thinks about it. And here's the topic. No, let's get it to a conclusion rather than a question, and then we'll go back to the question. Isn't it time to turn the corner on Vladimir Putin? I don't mean we're going to shoot him. I mean we're not going to shoot him. We're not going to kill him. We're going to crush him. I believe that Trump has given him more rope to strangle himself than any singular individual, even more than the Ayatollah. And it's interesting because he's playing both of these out at the same time. I think they could have different results. I don't think they are destined for the same result. But I'm not in control of that. Neither are you. And I'm not even sure Donald Trump is. Donald Trump is in control of it in that he can make it happen, but he can't control what's going to happen. He can control that something will happen. So let's go first with the more real, in some ways, the more current one, the Putin one, because it's heating up. And there was an article in a newspaper that I find intriguing. The Guardian. The Guardian is an English newspaper. It is severely left-wing. It can be prone to the worst kind of journalistic lack of ethics. It can lie, it can cheat, but can also do good work. It can also do good work. I don't know. It's very hard to categorize it. I may have overdone my earlier part. They're not filled with lying garbage. Every once in a while, they have lying garbage. Every once in a while, they have good stories. Most of the time, even when they have good stories, you got to read through some of the crap. That's true of this one. It's their political editor who is a solid, really solid presence in the world political field, Patrick Wintour, and some of this is usual, typical European Trump blather, left-wing blather, but some of it really gets to some points. Much too much is made of Trump's personality, and you can fool him, you can do this, you can do that. Very little is given to Trump's negotiating style, which is a real one and a very, very successful one. And the same thing is true of Putin. They're infantilized by Mr. Wincourt. But his question, is there bromance coming to a halt? Or the way he puts it, running its course, as if it had a course from the very beginning. First, I should tell you, before I analyze it, how I see it differently. I see it as a necessary, absolutely necessary relationship between the American president and the leader of, right now, one of the two countries, other than America, that can, in a very short order, destroy possibly the world. Those relationships have to be given every opportunity to work. The patience that is needed for them only can be given to you by God. And if you need to attack them, okay, it's going to happen. But it'll probably be the most consequential and worst decision of your entire life, because it might lead to, if not the destruction of the world, more human loss than ever before on this continent or on this globe. So there's no question that Trump desires peace over war. I think more than people realized. I think in this first term, we saw he was striving for peace. First of all, he didn't have wars. These wars were inherited. They were inherited from Biden. So these wars, we have two, right? We have one in the Middle East, not there when Trump left. We have one in Ukraine, Russia, not there when he left. Both of them, I truly believe, because they didn't occur under him, because at that time they were afraid of him, he believed that they would be easy to settle. What he didn't count on is these people are almost as careful a player and negotiator as he is. And they don't just make moves like sometimes the Ayatollah does. The Ayatollah is a different story. These are enormously skilled, world-class political chess players. His match, almost. So both of them came into it probably worried about the actions he would take. And Putin just stood still and watched while Trump expressed his frustration, and rightfully so, with Ukraine and the shenanigans Ukraine had been playing. Now, he knows those shenanigans better than anyone, because without any, you can't fool him about how corrupt Ukraine is. I didn't say the people. I didn't say they're responsible for this war. Some people jump on you immediately and say you're a Russian stooge if you say that. How about you're an honest person? The ones who don't say it are the ones who are causing the war. You got to get the real reasons out. He also knew that Zelensky was not a man to be trusted. I mean, Zelensky's sitting on top of evidence and information that is shattering, much of it of enormous value to his people, who could recover tremendous amounts of money stolen from them and not be as poor as they are. And his lack of patriotism and his love of money himself and power stops him from doing that. So we're not dealing here with a man that we can trust completely. It's a man we have to deal with because we have to, and we have to deal with him carefully. And he did, and he put him in his place. And I believe Zelensky now is not the problem. He could again become the problem. He's not the problem. The problem is singular, and it's right there. It's Putin. Putin will not agree to anything that anybody else can agree to. And he's doing it on purpose, and he's pushing it as far as he can go until Trump pushes him back. And here's the editorial for tonight. Push him back hard. The President of the United States might feel it's not necessary, but he's got to prove to Putin that he's the Trump that Putin thought existed in 2019 and 2020, when Trump told him, if you touch Ukraine, I'm going to bomb Moscow. And he said, I don't believe you. And he looked at him. And I'll tell you one of the other things he said. You got a lot of those big balloons up in the air, in, you know, the churches with the balloons. I would hate to blow them all up. He did that for to shake Putin up a little. Putin said, well, I still don't believe it, but not with the strongest possible voice. And when that was repeated to me some time ago, and it's now public, so I'm not telling you anything, we said to him, both Ted and I, did he believe you? And Trump said all he had to do was believe it 10%. Now he's thinking absolutely right there. Deterrence is not a 100% thing. You don't have to be 100% sure that if you hit the guy, he's going to kill you. All you got to do is have a doubt about it. And then a prudent person, unless he has to, doesn't take that action. Putin doesn't have to take this action. His back is not up against the wall. I couldn't say Netanyahu. Netanyahu is a different situation. He's got a country that wants to destroy him. the Ukraine mission is discretionary, not necessary for the survival of Russia. So Trump has to change. You got to, if you want to call this a game, if you want to call this a gamble, if you want to call this a negotiation, very often in a negotiation, which I've done many of, not the way he has, not at his level, although I have negotiated both for and against George Steinbrenner, and I've negotiated for him some pretty valuable agreements, including with the debates. So I know his style, and I think I know everybody's style of negotiating because I have my own. And I'm not sure that it's as good as theirs, but it's done pretty well. I would now change everything on Putin and confuse the hell out of him. And there's one thing that's really easy. No, it's not. Stop saying, Rudy, it's easy to do. Nothing here is easy to do because you never know when they're going to react irrationally. And when the president tells you every time he takes a step, he wonders, is Putin all there? Will this mean that Putin starts pulling triggers? Now, they worry about him the same way. And they got to continue to worry about him the same way. So he has a bill that's being pushed very, very hard by Lindsey Graham and a number of other Republicans and Democrats, altogether 83 in the House, to use maximum use of secondary sanctions. Now, secondary, and I congratulate Lindsey for this bill, by the way. This is the kind of way that on foreign policy, the Congress used to work with the president. We used to work together, Republicans and Democrats, beyond the shores of the United States, and then we fought like hell inside the United States. Lindsey, you're one of the few guys who could get us back to that. This would put secondary sanctions on anybody dealing with Russian oil. It wouldn't completely block Russian oil because there would be people that would defy our sanctions. There'd be people who would lie to us. But with aggressive enforcement, which he's good at, he took the old Obama sanctions that were doing nothing. And before new sanctions came into place, this was back in 2017, he crushed Iran. They were starving already before his new sanctions came on. So if the sanctions go into effect, his Treasury Department automatically will boom. And Bessent strikes me as a no-nonsense guy. If they pass this bill, and some people say, well, he should do it on his own or he'll give too much to Congress. I don't. This is a time where I think it would be very impressive to the dictator to show that a democratic government can work. This would be one hell of a time to be acting with the support almost unanimous of the House and the Senate. I mean, Putin would have to be not human to get shook up by the military enemies within the United States in what he knows and China knows is the greatest military force in the history of the world, is now making a demand on him. And they're making it upon him unanimously with only the Mondami and AOC and kook job communists on the other side. And he knows they're fools. So first recommendation to my good friend and our wonderful president is, faster you put those recommendations into law, the faster Putin starts having very, very numerous trips to the bathroom. And it gets him to start thinking. The other thing is a little out in another park here, another ballpark. But you see, sometimes you watch a team, how they play other teams, right? Don't you? You see, the Giants are about to play the Packers, let's say next week. I do this for Ted's benefit. So the Giants are going to take whatever they can spare and have them watch the Packers, and the Packers are going to take whatever they have to spare, and they're going to watch the Giants. Now, a really smart team uses a new game plan, but a lot of teams have a game plan that's so good it prevails again. It's a hard thing to know. So what I'm saying is that an action against the Ayatollah will not only crush the Ayatollah, it'll have a big impact on Putin, and it'll have a big impact on his only real meaningful supporter, which is China, that's already backing away from him. And we did hit him. And I do think it had an impact. And I think it might have had even more of an impact if it wasn't questioned and challenged so much. And now the issue of did they get rid of the uranium comes up. And then the quickly going to the 12-day war and the settlement of it, rather than finishing the Ayatollah off, starts to engage the other part of Putin's brain. Is he going to do it? Isn't he going to do it? Well, he hit the guy. He took out the nuclear facilities, mainly, but he had the guy on his knees, and he let the guy survive. And this guy is dedicated to daily reciting that he wants to destroy his country. And he certainly had plenty of reason to do it. As far as I can tell, that guy killed a lot more Americans than Russians ever have. And then we had one of our most famous commentators on television with their number two or three person who said that Iranians have never killed Americans. Well, that's about as gross a lie as you can find. And our Americans sat there looking like a mummy. So all of that comes up on the other side now. Well, maybe they won't retaliate. They seem to be really afraid of going to war. Now, peace with strength, which is what he relies on, it should be defined a little bit more. It's peace with strength, where there is a realistic possibility that you will use it. Not always use it, not use it recklessly, but not be in a position where you're paralyzed because you're some kind of pacifist. And because you've come to the conclusion there are too many wars, or we've been fooled into too many wars. Just because we were fooled into too many wars doesn't mean that this war isn't necessary. That's the crying wolf too much problem. Everyone has to be evaluated separately. I get very nervous when people stand up and say, I'm an isolationist. I'm an interventionist. How about you just be an intelligent human being that makes the right decision about isolation or intervention based on the facts? Do you know what those are? Facts? Based on the imperatives of the situation. And you also have to realize you can only bluff one or two times. The minute you don't, the peace with strength no longer has strength because they don't think you're going to use the strength. So that's what we were with Biden. And Biden went further. Biden just didn't leave him in doubt about using the strength. Biden would say, no boots on the ground, 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 no boots. We don't want a war, no boot, no war, no war, no boots on the ground, no boots on the ground, no boots on the ground. By the time you finished, you'd say, there's a guy that makes the cowardly lion look brave, and we can kick the shit out of his country. And they did. So Trump has got to, I think, take two steps right now beyond just words that'll move this thing if it can be moved. One, the sanctions should go into effect immediately, and Russia should get crushed economically. And Trump should offer no way out of it, and he should lay out a plan that is onerous to Putin. Whatever you want, ask for twice. If you want half of what they took back, ask for 3/4. If you want particularly the valuable land they took, which is about a third, ask for 70% of it. If you want to save some degree of protection for Ukraine, ask for all of it. Don't need to ask for NATO. I don't know if you agree to it or not, if you get the agreement, but I'm not sure you make a mistake asking for it. You're negotiating from a position of weakness, and you're negotiating in a way that you are weak. got to all be flipped in a couple of days. And I think what I recommended flips it. Sign the bill, move some troops around. Oh, and of course, what you've already started, God bless you, and that is weapons, 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 weapons to a country that's proven capable of using those weapons. And not just defensive, but offensive. Now, even though you said only offensive, in the list it was already scheduled that had been interrupted, those were all offensive weapons. So maybe they're not listening to you carefully, but by releasing the list of weapons that had been prevented by an undersecretary of defense, we don't know with your permission or not. But in any event, it's irrelevant at this point because they're almost gone. I think they're gone already. Those, I believe, many of them are offensive weapons. The ones they're requesting now are defensive weapons, mostly to do what Israel did and protect their skies and their cities and their civilian population. And that's on its way there, and much more is approved. And the president made a point when he pointed out how disappointed he was with Putin and that Putin was bullshitting him, that he was letting these weapons go. That's got to be a real quick flow. And there are some weapons that have been holding Ukraine back from doing some real damage to Russia. It's time to do that. Putin's got to feel a lot of pain. Otherwise, we're going to see not just Russia and China expand in that part of the world. Our enemies expand. And we could see ultimately, if he lines it up the way he wants to, the demise of Ukraine, and it once again becomes a PowerPoint for the people who want to destroy us. And then he moves on to we don't know where. Would it be the Baltics? Would it be Belarus? He really controls. I don't know that he'd want to do more, but there are other ambitions here. Maybe not as grandiose as some people think, but certainly a lot more grandiose than where they are right now. I always believe that Putin wants to take over the old Russian Empire, not necessarily the Soviet Empire. I think he realizes that Poland and now certainly Lithuania and Latvia and now even Finland and Sweden, I think he realizes that they're all gone. He did it himself, and the Medvedev threat of nuclear weapons on Finland and Scotland was one of the dumbest and worst things I've ever seen. We also have to remember, the human rights record of Vladimir Putin when we begin to start thinking him as like just a regular human being and a guy that can be a pal. There's very few countries in the world, with the exception maybe of our other friends, China and Iran, that have a worse human rights record than this guy. I mean, they're poisoning people left and right. His presidency for life is a dictatorship for life, and not particularly pro-American organizations and have over the last 3 or 4 years issued reports on human rights that are staggering. I mean, the report on what they did back in their first attack, when they took advantage of the coward and supplier of money to Iran, Obama, was outrageous. That report is available. That report, which was published, actually, I think just this Wednesday, the court said there was evidence of widespread and systemic use of sexual violence accompanied by acts of torture. We're talking now about what happened back in 2014. Civilians and prisoners of war were subjected to mock executions, the severing of body parts and electric shocks, including to intimate areas of their bodies. The court said, in none of the conflicts previously before this court has there been such near universal condemnation of the flagrant disregard by the respondent state for the foundations of the international legal order established after the Second World War. Basically, they're saying this is the most barbarian conduct that they've seen since the Second World War. The conduct in Ukraine, the first time they went in. The reports on the second time are more temporary, but they're damn authoritative. Indiscriminate military attacks, summary executions of civilians for effect, torture, at times tactical, at times for deterrence, mass detention of civilians, displacements of people for land just to create confusion, focused persecution of religious groups, other than adherence to the historically Moscow-aligned Ukrainian Orthodox Church. That means they tortured, of course, Muslims, but they tortured Orthodox and Roman Catholic Christians that were not part of their Orthodox denomination, and that takes up the whole most of the Eastern Europe Orthodox faiths, which align with Greece. Yep, it's a fighting of archbishops. The archbishop in Greece is a freely determined religious archbishop. The archbishop in Russia is Putin's archbishop. Putin goes to church. Well, that's good because he would kill twice as many people if he didn't, I guess. Putin goes to church and he's a stone cold killer from the day he was a young man. Remember that when you look at him, don't get all like mushy. You never get mushy with killers. You always remain a distance. And I'm going to tell you, after a while, when you do it as long as I do, you feel them. And I felt at the time I shook hands with him. The moment I shook hands with him, I said, there's a killer and a very, very accomplished one. So Trump has to set this up so that Putin has to negotiate. And it's going to be done it's got to be done only in two ways. It's got to be done by imposing tremendous punishment on him. Tremendous. But in answer to the original question, I do think the bromance is over, and something like this or similar to it is about to take place. And it's going to create more confusion in the world. But the more the president can show the tough side, the more this is going to get done quickly. The more he shows it, the less he's going to eventually have to show it. Now, the president also has raised and reminded people that he is capable of using the bomb if he has to, by repeating the story about his saying that he would bomb Moscow if they touched Ukraine, and then Vladimir saying he didn't believe him, and Trump said all that I need is that Putin believe it by 10%, and he does. So now I think, just in case, because we don't want to take any risk here, I think we should get him to 20. What do you think? Let's get him to 20% believe in it. I'd like to see Putin have to go to the bathroom a lot. You know, because I think all these murdering professionals are ultimately cowards, and they're also dealing with all kinds of psychological problems that you can't imagine that comes about from murder of human beings, and it's worth playing on them. And I think a real threat backed by the biggest sanctions ever in the history of the world, backed by some real military support for Ukraine, and letting Ukraine hit back on a equal basis They got a long way to go to catch up for all the damage done to Ukraine. So the articles in the various newspapers throughout the country saying, send Putin a message. Mr. President, don't read the articles. The reasoning is stupid. The conclusion is correct. The conclusion is correct. Now, Putin has done nothing. I mean, he has unleashed some of his biggest attacks since the beginning of the war, since you've been trying to make peace. So what the hell does that tell you? He's sticking his finger up in the air to you. You don't like that. I don't like that happening to my president. I think it's time to put something in his eye. So he has to stop it. And at the same time, as a side point, don't consider another attack on Iran useless. If Bibi is right, or we're right, or anybody's right, that some of that uranium is left over, how about we go bomb them again, make sure we get rid of it. They are on the verge of see, they're like this. How about we do this? All right? Not hard, right? To understand, at least. So that's where we are with Putin. We'll take a short break. And when we come back, I guess we'll talk about L.A. and what went on there today, where they demonstrated their support for illegality, which is now becoming constant. You all know I stand by the truth. And if I put my name on something, I truly believe in it. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to something I'm incredibly proud of. My own brand of organic specialty coffee, Rudy Coffee. Believe me when I say it's the best coffee you'll ever try. It's smooth, rich, chocolatey, and gentle on your stomach. It's so good, I even recommend drinking it black. It comes in 3 varieties, including what I promise is the best decaf you'll ever have. You can order now by scanning the QR code on your screen or by visiting rudy.coffee. By supporting Rudy Coffee, you're not just treating yourself to exceptional coffee, you're also supporting our cause, the cause of truth, justice, and American democracy. You'll also be supporting the Call to Action nonprofit, which is devoted to helping veterans and first responders, so you can make a difference and taste the difference by ordering today at rudy.coffee.
Swollen limbs, joint pain, inflammation, skin aging, and cognitive decline. These are just a few of the awful side effects that you can experience due to poor blood circulation. And popping ibuprofen is not a solution to the pain. It's only temporary relief, and it's only masking the true problem, which is inflammation. Researchers are saying to add this Antarctic super nutrient to your diet. I'm talking about omega-3 fatty acids. But not just any form of omegas. These particular omega-3 fatty acids are sourced from wild-caught krill. Has been shown to support healthy blood pressure, circulation, brain health, as well as reduce inflammation, swelling, and joint pain. For a limited time, you can grab Native Path Antarctic Krill Oil for up to 66% off plus free shipping. Just go to getkrill.com/Lindell right now to get your special offer. Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta. It's a natural solution designed to help you stay active and live well naturally. Nirvanta is a topical blend of all natural essential oils like frankincense, myrrh, and a proprietary gold standard plant stock extract. It's perfect for your hands, feet, knees, back, or anywhere else that needs a little extra care. Use Nirvanta proactively as part of your daily maintenance routine, and you're guaranteed you're going to feel the difference. Simply massage Nirvanta in for at least 60 seconds 2 to 3 times a day to get the best results. And if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. There's simply no risk and no reason not to try Nervanta today. Right now, you get 15% off with code Lindell exclusively at NirvantaHealth.com. So stop reaching out for that medicine cabinet. Get Nervanta instead and experience the difference. Go to NirvantaHealth.com. Use code Lindell to get 15% off today. Nervanta Health. Live well naturally. With everybody talking about making America healthy again, I thought today'd be a great day to talk to all my fellow patriots about the importance of making your homes healthy again. Well, we have proudly partnered with airwaterhealing.com and their revolutionary whole home air purification system. The V3 from Air Water Healing does 3,000 square feet of purification. It eliminates dust, mold, viruses, and odors. But here's the part I love. They require no filters to ever be changed and virtually no maintenance. Whether you suffer from asthma, allergies, seasonal bronchitis, or just want to protect your family from the flu or even greater threats, don't wait to get your V3 from airwaterhealing.com today. Use code Lindell for 20% off in savings and free shipping. That's promo code Lindell at airwaterhealing.com.
After years of allegedly lying, spying, and stonewalling, justice may be finally catching up to some alleged coup plotters, namely former FBI Director James Comey and former CIA Director John Brennan. The DOJ is investigating these top spies of the deep state, and if they use their intelligence positions to illegally target President Trump and interfere in the 2016 election. John Brennan crawled out of hiding yesterday and played stupid to the mainstream media, saying he was confused as to what he was being investigated for.
I testified in front of many, many congressional committees in the House and the Senate over the years, and I continue to explain exactly what we did during this process, why we tried to make sure we stayed true to our intelligence responsibilities and that we were not going to do anything at all to try to interfere in that election. And again, it was a challenging time, but also one I think that the people who actually worked this, both in terms of trying to collect intelligence prior to the election and then the ones who put together the intelligence community assessment, they really, I think, showed the best of what the intelligence community and what CIA is made of. So again, I am clueless about what it is exactly that they may be investigating me for.
Not a very intelligent answer for a former intelligence officer, but just in case John Brennan is watching, here is the late Lou Dobbs to remind you of your alleged crime.
National security expert Fred Fleitz recently reporting that former CIA Director John Brennan worked to suppress intelligence that Russia was in fact trying to help Hillary Clinton win the 2016 presidential election. Brennan was aware Russia preferred Clinton over Trump because she was a known figure having served as Secretary of State. Instead of reporting this to the House Intelligence Committee, Brennan provided intelligence that omitted the fact that Russia was working to help Hillary Clinton win, and instead claiming that they wanted Trump.
In the meantime, the mainstream media continues to shill for the deep state. Here is a vomit-worthy example from yesterday.
In the Trump administration's efforts to politicize intelligence and U.S. national security. It is also the culmination of a long and mostly fruitless 9-year campaign by Team Trump to rewrite history when it comes to Russia and the 2016 presidential election.
After the Biden administration completely politicized government agencies against President Trump, his allies, and his supporters, it's a wonder how these people can say these things with a straight face. Here's President Trump to wrap things up.
Well, I know nothing about it other than what I read today, but I will tell you, I think they're very dishonest people. I think they're crooked as hell, and maybe they have to pay a price for that. I believe they are truly bad people and dishonest people. So whatever happens, happens.
Reporting for LindellTV at the White House, I'm Kara Castronova.
Very, very good. Very, very good report, Kara. As usual, right to the point. And the president, of course, is absolutely right. There is no doubt that both of these guys are massive crooks who have tried to take down the American government. I mean, it's bad enough if you try to frame an individual American citizen. Maybe as a former prosecutor, to me, that's one of the worst crimes. Because in a way, you could almost victimize me, right? Put together a good enough frame, and I don't figure it out. Then I'm doing the nightmare that I had for 17 years as a prosecutor, prosecuting an innocent man. Now, apparently that nightmare is gone for the modern prosecutor. It's become a game of, if he gets convicted, I win. If he gets acquitted, I lose. I always live by the Justice Jackson rule. If justice is done, the government wins. I used to write that out for my assistants. You know why? When I became an assistant U.S. attorney, it was written out for me. I believed it. For me, it is a tremendous disappointment and a shock that James Cardinal Comey faked his way through the first couple of years in the Southern District. If I had seen any of this, he would have been thrown out. I never would have hired him. I always got 3 choices for every position. So I selected the one that I thought was the best. Would have been him. And when he was assistant for me, he never did anything unusual. Unusually great or unusually bad. I think it all started when he got to Washington, and he became publicity hungry. So the first time there was a court order that had to be signed by the Attorney General for surveillance having to do with the follow-up to 9/11. Because there was some doubts being expressed about the constitutionality of this particular statute, doubts by, the children of Joseph Stalin. He didn't have the courage to sign it. He brought it to the Attorney General, who was in the hospital at the time, made him sign it. And sort of acted like he was against it and became a big hero to the left-wing groups who were saying that we had too much surveillance. You know who his number 2 guy was on that? The guy who became head of the FBI. So one should have taken a look at that. That was a publicity play. When he was U.S. attorney, he prosecuted Martha Stewart. And Martha Stewart was probably guilty. It was a stupid case. Martha Stewart would not have been prosecuted if it hadn't gotten Jim Comey publicity. It was a giveaway that he was not morally sturdy enough for the job. Hard to understand that unless you really understand my profession. Every prosecutor that's very good can look like he's publicity hungry because he's going after people that are famous and has the courage to do it. But you got to take a look at, and you got to see the ones who do it, not because it's required, not because it's absolutely necessary in the public interest, but because they want cheap publicity. And boy, that one was a real giveaway. And then the rest is history. I do think that this prosecution could lead to a very big RICO case against a large number of them, because this is a RICO case that I would describe to a jury if I were prosecuting it. And I've written enough about it so you'll get an idea of what the core of it is. The Biden crime family is written from the point of view to how to put together a RICO case against them. But this is a book with 4 or 5 large subdivisions. Subdivision 1 was Russian collusion. Subdivision 2 was the phony Ukrainian conversation that they made up. Number 3 is their fix of the their whole fix of the 2020 election, including their fixing the courts. Next chapter would be trying to make January 6th into a 9/11 or the Civil War or a war of aggression against the United States, or an insurrection carried out for the first time in history by people who were armed with what? Pencils? In other words, they tried to sell us for months and months and months. They even arrested people, kept them in jail for 3 or 4 years, and tried to arrested him, tried to prosecute Trump for carrying on a war against the United States to overthrow the United States, with an army consisting of what were their names? The Poor Boys. That's a very encouraging name for an army.
The Proud Boys.
The Proud. Oh, I thought it was the Proud Boys. They look like the Poor Boys.
Yeah.
And who were the others? The schmucks.
Right. I mean, they really were a bunch of schmucks. I had.
If you thought you were going to win a war like this, you don't win 2 elections.
They dress up like.
You take a look at these people and you say to yourself,
the high school bowling team.
You see Trump go to military things, right? You know he went to military school. You see him looking at the troops, and he's very, very proud of the troops. Can you imagine if you looked at a group of poor boys walking down the street?
Poor boys.
Those characters that
Right.
He'd say, oh, okay, they must be Democrats. There's no way anybody was overthrowing anything that day. That is a complete fiction of well, you know who. Miss Baltimore, 1887. Isn't that when she was in Baltimore? And her father was the Italian-American mayor of Baltimore?
Right.
Mayor D'Alessandro? Mayor D'Alessandro's office, who learned all of these things at the foot of her father and uncle. Let me tell you who her uncle was someday. D'Alessandro brought those all to Washington with her. And they were all valuable. Things like, don't read the bill before you sign it. Or make sure you get all the inside information so you can go trade before anybody knows and you become worth $40 million like my husband is. That kind of stuff. That's the sort of stuff she was into. Probably less onerous and horrible than her forebears. But there are books about her forebears, if you'd like to read them. I mean, everybody thought she was like this nice little Catholic girl from San Francisco. Well, they haven't had actually a functioning Catholic church in San Francisco for 45 years. But they used to be. But she actually was from Baltimore, a city that people are going back. They're bringing in geologists and people who are expert in digging for things, trying to find any remains of Christianity or people who believe in God, you know, any kind of thing about Baltimore, other than when it was a corrupt city. It's tragic. It's tragic. And you know who suffers for that? The poor people and the black people. It was the city of Baltimore that got me first to think about this. They had a riot in Baltimore that unfortunately led to an assassination in New York. And the congressman for Miranda Devine, well, you have to take that and we have to find out what Miranda wants.
We'll take
she
that.
wants to come on, we'll put her right on. There are a couple of reporters in this country that I think are the very, very, very best. And I just got a call from one of them. And if she either has a scoop for me or she wants me to confirm something, that will be a scoop. Because Miranda Devine, if you can't remember, is the reporter for the Washington Post that I handed, like that, yep, the hard drive to. The New York Post didn't get it. The New York Post, I have become persona non-recognizable. It's as if the Post got it. Here's the hard drive. And it landed on Miranda's desk. I gave it to them, and Miranda was one of 5 who all should be in the Journalist Hall of Fame, who had the guts to get their newspaper to run it. Because it wasn't so much the newspaper. This newspaper is about as good as it gets. It's the owner. The owner had rejected it for the Wall Street Journal, Rupert. And Rupert at that point was anti-Trump. And they had a fight against him. But they made the fight. They set up like rules that they thought would fail, like corroborate this, corroborate that, corroborate this, boom, 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 boom. And then they put it out. And as soon as they put it out, the Biden people were ready to pounce because unbeknownst to us, the FBI was on my account. They had been on it for 2 years, on her account, on 2 or 3 other people whose names I won't mention who were involved in helping us, and people who you would know. So the FBI had a hint that we were doing something and went and visited the social media before we got there and said, you're going to get false information from Russia. They characterize it as Russian information. And what you should know is the FBI, 7 months earlier, had gone through complete tests of the hard drive and determined 100% it was Hunter Biden's, and completely accurate, and sat on it to protect Joe Biden. Well, that's an old story, but it's one that hasn't been proven to all the American people, and it should be, and for this reason. Yes, to punish the people that remain who did it because they committed serious crimes, some of the most serious against our government, but most importantly because as a warning that, oh my goodness, we never do this again. This should never be done again. This is beyond what our political compact is all about. It's an attack on our political compact. It's an attack on our decency. If we're religious, it's an attack on our religion. And I think one of the reasons it's happened is not that every American has to be religious, but there's too little religion in America. The communists did a very, very good job of cleaning out the things that become the biggest bulwarks against communism. They've been doing it since the 1930s, and then picking up when they can. God, proper education and being an American patriot and citizen. I mean, it almost sounds unusual to you that I would say that education is the purpose of making you a good citizen. Do you know that's the language in the original public education bill in 1850? That the government should pay for it because it's going to make you a good citizen. That's an F-14 or an F-16 going over. It's part of the New Hampshire Air National Guard, and I'm pretty sure from the sound of it, I mean they do have bombers and they do have regular airplanes, and they have a commercial. They have a commercial airport right here too, but that was definitely a fighter jet. What do you say?
Holy smokes, they are not messing around.
They're fighter jets, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Nothing better than fighter jets. I'll tell you someday my history with fighter jets. Nothing better than fighter jets. Nothing better than the guys who fly it either. Man, we have a couple more of those and we don't have to worry about anything. Anything. Wow. Like the job they did in Iran. Well, I have to quit now, but that doesn't mean I quit. That means you get to come over to X, and we are going to continue. And I tell you, we got some really good stuff stuff to cover about Trump, about the man who wants to take my job, Zoban Bambubi, Mamba. I'm sorry. I just was never good at communist names. But the communist who wants to be mayor of New York. You'd like to hear what I have to say about that, right? I know you would. So you go over to X right now for America's Mayor Live, and we'll continue that, and we'll get some of your comments on it, and Ted will feed them into me, okay? So
That's right.
You pray for all the people who are in harm's way, both from wars and natural disasters. And we should pray. And I do this not because he's one of my good friends. I do it because he's our president. You should pray for our president that he makes the right decisions. God bless America.